evening. Happy New Year. Welcome to the Richmond City Council swearing-in ceremony.
At this point, I'd like to ask Mayor Anderson to present the ceremonial gavel to Mayor-elect Gayle McLaughlin.
Mayor-elect, please come forward. I can't get it over there. Gayle, I give you this gavel knowing that you do have the city of Richmond in your heart to provide for our citizens the best that they can have. And I look forward to your leading our city to the renaissance that it deserves.
Not a gavel, that's a sledgehammer.
I think so.
It's for you, Nat.
At this time, we will ask the city clerk to administer the oath of office and presentation of the certificate of election to Mayor-elect Gayle McLaughlin.
Mayor-elect McLaughlin, is it your intent and desire to take the oath of office to accept the office as mayor for the city of Richmond? Would you raise your right hand? I, Gayle McLaughlin, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter. Congratulations.
Before we have comments by Mayor Gayle McLaughlin, we have two very distinguished speakers this evening who will address the council and the audience. First, we have Matt Gonzalez, former president of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, followed by Van Jones, executive director for the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights. Mr. Gonzalez.
Thank you. I've got a mic. I don't know if you... I'm happy to use the other one. Let me just say that it's a great honor for me to be here and to get to witness what is the peaceful transition of political power. And I'm very mindful that there are millions of people in this world that don't get to experience it. In this particular case, it is particularly meaningful for me because your new mayor, Gayle, is a colleague of mine in the Green Party, and it certainly, warms my heart to know that this community heard her message, has seen her vision, and wants her to lead this city in a particular direction. In saying that, I don't offer any disrespect to your outgoing mayor. Believe me, I have won and lost political contests myself, and I know what that is like. I think we can, with certainty, say that everyone that holds political office enters that with a desire to do good. But sometimes problems are of such a magnitude that the public says, thank you, but we need to keep looking for the solutions. And sometimes that gets manifested in changing the political players. But I don't certainly take that personally as a repudiation of anything. Many people may be wondering what Van and I are doing in Richmond, California. Let me say this. We're here in part because we're invited to be here, but we're also here because we're making an overture to you to say Richmond is a very important city in this Bay Area. Richmond is a very important city not only because of diversity, but because you are tackling problems that exist in every urban city in California. Your success will happen in other places, and that's why so many are looking to see what can be done here. But it's the diversity of this community, I think, that is most exciting. And let me also emphasize, I think the people of Richmond, perhaps not all of them, but I think most of them care very little what political party Gayle McLaughlin belongs to. I think they're more good and whether or not those ideas can be implemented and whether or not change can be ultimately effectuated. I have some political experience, not as much as Mayor Anderson and some of the other speakers, but I like to think that I engaged and practiced politics in a place with some all-stars, so to speak. And I've lost a lot of political battles that I think I learned from. I grew up in a town, McAllen, Texas, which is the size of Richmond. I represented a district in San Francisco that's just about 85,000 people. I was elected president of the Board of Supervisors by my colleagues, none of whom are in the Green Party. And we worked on a city budget of over $5 billion. Let me say this one thing about politics. We often, as a community, complain about politicians. They are the most maligned set of people, category that we can come up with, exceeded perhaps. I am one also. But oftentimes what we don't like about politicians, we actually create in the demands that we place on them. We want immediate successes. We don't want to invest the time to learn what is actually going on at City Hall. So what happens? We end up rewarding the grandstanders. We end up rewarding the people that are best with the press conferences and all of that. Mayor Anderson, I think, really elucidated a very important component that as a community we have to come to terms with, which is this. You cannot expect the biggest problems to be solved immediately and quickly. The low-hanging fruit that's out there, yes, that's important to go after if you're hungry, but if you're really going to feed a community, you're going to have to learn how to plant seeds that you can reap later. Politicians aren't the problem if we as a community don't understand that we have to reward hard decision-making. And let me tell you what the hard decision-making is. It is about scarce resources being moved around to prioritize the things that we hope over time, maybe a year later, maybe 5 years later, maybe 15 years later, we're able to get what it is that we need. You, as a community, have to support these elected officials and make them virtuous. Tell them that you don't want politics of the press conference. You want politics of hard decision-making and achievement. Politicians that sometimes disappoint because they don't give the expected immediacy that we all want, that we all deserve. Ambrose Bierce, a famous writer in the early part of the 20th century, 1911, he wrote a very playful and ironic book called The Devil's Dictionary. And his definition of politics is the best one I ever heard, unfortunately. He said that politics is a strife of interest masquerading as a contest of principles. In other words, it's a strife of personal interest masquerading as if we're really working on loftier ideas. Well, the challenge here, and I challenge your city council, I challenge your new mayor, let's return politics, let's force it to be about principle, and let's really support the politicians that do the good work. And so good luck to you, Mayor McLaughlin.
City Council. City Council. Where's our mayor? Madam Mayor. First, I just want to say it's humbling to be here. I do my. It's humbling to see the love that was on display, even among people who had their fist fights and arguments. There's a love in this room, and it's rare, and it's touching. And I think sometimes that love comes because as much as we're here to celebrate the promise of 2007 and 2008 and beyond, we still have to deal with the pain of 2006 and the pain of seeing so many of our young people in caskets and so many old people in the pews. The pain of knowing that we have some young people who've been to more funerals than they've been to fairgrounds in Richmond and in Oakland and in Bayview Hunters Point. The pain of knowing that there are some 2- and 3-year-old children in our neighborhoods now. When they see balloons, when they see flowers, they start crying because they think maybe it's another funeral or another sidewalk memorial. There's something about the pain of 2006 that brings out, I think, a heartfulness in some of our communities, and I feel it in this room. What I want to say to you is that we go forward now into 2007, that there is something that is beginning to change in Richmond, and there's something that's beginning to change in Oakland, something beginning to change in Bayview Hunters Point and all across the United States. People voted in November for change in every community in this country. Down the road, we had a vote for change with Ron Dellums coming in. We had a black governor elected, Deval Patrick in Massachusetts, talking about a politics of hope. A young African-American named Cory Booker became mayor of Newark, New Jersey, promising a politics of hope. We have new opportunities all over. And as we move forward together, trying to lift up a politics of hope, I think that the outgoing mayor would say, and has said, that if somebody really wants to do something, to take the inhalers out of these babies' pockets so they can breathe some clean air in Richmond, if somebody really wants to do something, to get these young people to put these guns down and pick up some diplomas and get in dignified work, if somebody really wants to do something, we're not going to discriminate against them based on the color of their skin or the color of their party. Let's get together and make a difference in Richmond. Let's get together and make a difference in Richmond. And what I want to say is that I'm excited to see what a Green Party candidate or mayor might be able to do. I say that only because what I know is that in Katrina, when the floodwaters came, and we saw an American city drown, and we saw the government look the other way, and we saw this politics of sink or swim ideology that has become so fashionable play out in real life. And we saw what it looks like when somebody is left to sink. I know in my heart I thought to myself, isn't there some way that we can deal with the social problems and the environmental problems in a new way? And I don't know if the Green Party has the answer. I don't know if any party has the answer. But what I do know is this. Now they are talking about the global warming, and they're talking about we need new clean and green technologies, and we need renewable energy, and we need all this positive stuff. Well, bring it to Richmond first. Bring it to Richmond first. And Ms. Mayor, I hope that you will demand that, because Richmond has borne the brunt of the pollution-based economy for the whole Bay Area. Bring it to Richmond first, and let's put our young men and our young women to work putting up solar panels all over Richmond and retrofitting buildings so they don't leak energy all over Richmond. Give our young people dignified jobs and work and opportunity, cleaning up the environment and binding up this community and finishing the work of your great predecessor. Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you so much. I want to thank Matt Gonzalez and Van Jones for the incredible insights and the inspiring words. Very, very much appreciated. And I want to thank all of you for being here today. This is just such a great, great day, great evening for me. Such a great honor to be taking on this new role and this new responsibility. I would like to begin by recognizing the most recent homicide in our city. Victor Ramirez was a recent immigrant from El Salvador. His death was a tragic and senseless act of violence, like all our homicides in Richmond. I would like to ask you to join me in a moment of silence for Victor Ramirez and for all those who lost their lives to violence over the past year in Richmond. It was the great African-American writer, James Baldwin, who said, "Not everything can be changed that is faced, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." Clearly, we have many, many problems and challenges in Richmond to face. Let me say that my approach to problem solving and my philosophy of government will be one of collaboration. Having been awarded the honor of being elected as mayor of the people of Richmond, I consider myself first among equals on the council. Over the next 4 years, it will be our turn to show results. And in order to be successful, our collaboration must go past government and extend to community. We need only look at the civil rights movement, the women's movement, workers' rights, and other movements of historical importance to realize that change did not originate inside government, but rather outside of it. It is from the mobilized efforts of affected communities themselves, from abolitionists, unions, environmentalists, students. It is from there that we have seen the birth of change. It is the task of government to facilitate and to contribute to true community empowerment. A government that fails to contribute to community empowerment is a government doomed to failure. It is clear that our single most important issue in Richmond is our crime. While we strengthen law enforcement by giving law enforcement what it needs to enforce the law, we must not deceive ourselves. We must be realistic in our understanding that this alone will never eradicate our violence. The roots of crime are systemic in nature. Poverty and the lack of job and educational opportunities are the core systemic problems that give rise to crime. Our challenge in Richmond is to become a role model for solving these systemic problems. But in order to do this, we must make more of an investment. We must have enhanced community efforts, a more cooperative city council, increased revenue, and a further commitment of free time from all of us in order to turn around our endemic violence. But let us rise to this challenge. This is a privilege to present a brighter future for our youth. We, as a city, must depend on our own initiative and the inherent abilities of our residents. We will flourish and become a healthy and sustainable city only if we believe in ourselves. The future of Richmond depends on a robust local economy that keeps money circulating within our city. This is an achievable goal. We have had this in the past, and we can do it again. We are a city of great untapped potential. We must focus our energies on a more innovative and more incentive direction. We want smart growth, sound policy, and responsible environmental programs. We want to do the things that other cities will emulate. I want to say that I do not intend to be a ceremonial mayor. I want to be a problem solver, not a ribbon cutter. Although the office of the mayor cannot solve all the problems, I am committed to setting a tone for a healthy, collaborative process. We must not look for quick fixes, but we must rather encourage evidence-based efforts and make our decisions based on the merits and the facts. I am convinced that Richmond's best days are ahead. Results will take time, but the time is now for planting the seeds. Let us demonstrate to California and the world that a city deluged with difficulties can resurrect itself with full principles intact. Our shared values of social, economic, and environmental justice, along with our intelligence, creativity, and political will, can and shall lead us to better times. I would like to end by giving my heartfelt thank you to all the people of Richmond who have worked and will work to make it better. To my colleagues, past and to Mayor Anderson for the past 5 years serving as mayor. I thank you very much.